portable gaming has become massive over the last few years, with things like the Nintendo Switch 2, the Steam Deck, and the ROG Ally exploding in popularity. As our lives get busier, it is hard to find times to sit down and play a game. But with portable gaming, you now have the ability to play games whenever you have a free time slot in your day. With the only catch being that products like these are expensive. The Nintendo Switch 2 in itself launches at a price of $449 US, and that's not factoring in any games yet. And with news just launching this morning that there will be increases to the prices of the original Switch consoles, what are we to do? Well, what if I told you that you could play games on the go and you wouldn't have to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a console that's already 9 years old? That's where the Backbone Pro comes into it. This controller harnesses the power of your flagship phone and converts your phone into a portable gaming console. Or at least that's what it looks like on face value. But what I will say is that it offers a lot more to that, and that's what we're going to find out today. Okay, so what is the Backbone Pro? The Backbone Pro is a portable controller designed to be used with your smartphone, but improves upon the previous generations, offering full-sized analog sticks, triggers with a good amount of travel, and additional back buttons, because pro gaming. But beyond the appearance of being designed specifically for mobile phones, it's actually capable of a lot more. Also being compatible with console as well as PC through Bluetooth. Now, I've had this controller for 2 weeks, but what was my first impressions? This is a solid feeling controller. And I'm not talking portable controller, I'm talking controller. The buttons feel nice and clicky, not mushy, very similar to the Xbox controller, which is awesome. The buttons themselves are noticeably smaller compared to a traditional Xbox controller, but that didn't affect how I would play or how it would feel in the hand too much. I wasn't fat thumbing it on first use, which is great. On that token, you're also getting very nice triggers. These have a good amount of travel. The only thing I did pick up on is that the actual area to place your fingers on is a little bit short, but overall it's a nice feeling first impression. It's nice, smooth, and silent. And you're also going to notice that big gap in the middle of the controller to place your phone. Well, the spine is nice and sturdy. I didn't feel like I was going to snap it in half. If you put pressure on it, you definitely could, but this isn't something that would accidentally happen. You'd probably have to force it a little bit for that to happen. And you've got a USB-C connection on this one. Now, I was a little bit cautious of this, but I have knocked it a couple of times and I thought it was going to break, but it's on there, still solid. So overall, you're getting an awesome package with super cool versatility, but in my head, I already had a couple of things to look out for, so I was really excited for the next few days of using this product. 2 weeks later of using this controller, I used this thing everywhere. In my bed, before going to sleep, I'd be playing Minecraft or Call of Duty Mobile. The first thing I want to touch on is connectivity. You wouldn't get to using it without it connecting to your device, and I gotta say that this has been one of the most seamless. All you have to do is plug and play, and the compatible games that you have will essentially just work with it. If you're setting it up on your mobile, you have access to the Backbone app, which will consolidate all your controller supported apps, as well as connected games that may be the Xbox cloud-based gaming service or your iOS store, or that is accessible on PlayStation streaming. I can only really comment on the iOS side of things because I don't have a PlayStation and I wasn't doing any of the Game Pass streaming side of things. It's got its own operating system, and when you're inside it, it just feels like you're navigating a portable console. And it also consolidates all your games that are compatible with your Backbone into one spot. Now, the feel of this controller in the hand is quite impressive, being that it is meant to be an on-the-go portable controller. It is no contest when it comes to ergonomics and feel in the hand. I also appreciate the more divoted analog sticks compared to something like the Joy-Con, but that's just personal preference. But definitely having the bigger, fattier grips in the hands compared to a thin, skinny Joy-Con, can't go back. The controller feel in the hand is substantial. The hand grips are awesome and your fingers rest in all the right places. When I generally compare controllers, I think of the Xbox Series X controller as the gold standard when it comes to ergonomics, feel in the hand, and pretty much everything. This feels like that, but just shrunk down. But I will say, there are a couple of drawbacks. The triggers, whilst they have good travel, aren't long enough, so I felt like, in the way that I was holding it, that my trigger fingers would just slip off. Unless I was to angle the controller down, but then I wouldn't have a good view of my iPhone screen, so that was the catch-22 there. And the actual palm rests on the controller feel a bit shorter than a traditional Xbox controller, and aren't slanted like a traditional Xbox controller. So it just made for weird angles while playing on the phone, or weird wrist angles. Not to mention that this sports USB-C and auxiliary on the bottom of the palms of the controller, the USB-C being for charging the controller, as well as USB-C pass-through charging into your phone, and the auxiliary so you can plug in wired headphones. But when I had it plugged in, I felt like this also got in the way, but also I didn't find it plugged in too much because the controller sported 40 hours of battery life, and I pretty much didn't charge it at all over the last 2 weeks. Now, in saying that, I also do have smaller hands. So people with bigger hands, just be wary if you're going to play this plugged in or you're going to have wired headphones plug in, just be wary. One thing I didn't mention is that the D-pad on this thing, I would say is better than an Xbox controller. The plus pad is exactly how I imagine a plus pad should be. It's not clicky, it's got good silent travel. I just think that this controller is so versatile, it handles everything so well. But now it's time to cut the nonsense. What does it do well? It's a seamless setup, plug and play, whether you're using it on your consoles, on your PC, or on your phone. If you do choose to use the Backbone app, the Backbone software is a full, complete piece of software. It feels like an app launcher that is not just an app on your phone, it feels like an operating system. And not to mention super user-friendly. For a portable controller, this thing is ergonomic. As close as a full-size controller you can get in comfort without being a full-size controller. The battery life on this thing is awesome. I only ever charged it once, and that's it. But the fact that you can also have USB-C charge pass through straight to your phone, so you never have to stop using the controller, awesome feature. And you can still plug in your wired headphones directly into your controller, so you can run Discord and game on your phone at the same time. Overall, it is a solid feeling package. And I guess the only real limit is how powerful your mobile phone is. But where there is good, there is also bad. Nothing's perfect. One of them is the port placement on this thing. If you're the type of person that has wired headphones, there is potential for you to knock this thing if it's plugged in. I understand why they had to place these ports on the bottom of the handrests, but it doesn't excuse the fact that if you do have bigger hands, you might knock these things. The triggers, they are almost perfect. They have a good amount of travel, they're not scratchy, they don't feel cheap, and the actual return on them is very prompt and fluid. They just come up short in terms of its, I guess, finger placement real estate. If I'm playing with the controller straight on, I feel like my trigger fingers are going to slip off. I have to angle the whole controller down to get a better placement on the triggers, but then I'm not getting a proper view of the phone. It was the catch-22 that I kind of found myself in. And lastly, this is a great phone controller, but it's an okay PC controller. I wouldn't go out and buy this if I was primarily using it for PC, because it's more expensive than an Xbox controller, and it's just not quite as comfortable. It does a good job, but it wouldn't be my first, second, or potentially even third pick. I would definitely use it if there wasn't another option. I wouldn't be upset at that pick, but if it was the difference between this and my Xbox controller, and it was for the PC or a console, I am reaching for that Xbox controller every time. If I had to pick between one or the other, and I was gaming a lot more on my mobile phone, then yes, I would pick the Backbone and I would use that as my everything controller. I think the fact that they've added that technology in there and they've given gamers the option to use that if that is something they would like to do is awesome. And I did play Rocket League, I did play COD on my PC with this, and it was fine, but it's designed for mobile gaming first. But without that being said, are you going to check out the Backbone Pro? Or are you going to go buy a portable console like the Switch 2 and the ROG Ally? Leave a comment in the description. I want to know what you're going to get and what you're going to get it for. But without that being said, I'll see you next time. Peace.